I ran across a bridge that was several hundred feet. As I crossed the bridge, I stopped and I climbed up, intending to jump. And I stood upon the 2 foot wide railing and stared abjectly into the river with this massive rock outcroppings some 200 feet below and contemplated jumping. Suicide. As I stood on that railing, wobbling increasingly from fear, sweat, I thought about my wife, my kids. What would they say? What would they think? How would they explain my suicide and their plight to others? How would they take care of themselves? What shame and loss would my parents feel? My sister and my brother? Tears flooded my eyes until I could not see. I began trembling and wobbling from head to toe. As I teetered on this railing, minutes passed. Passing cars honked violently at me, finally breaking my spell. I climbed down and leaned against the railing for some time, exhausted, reflecting on my predicament. No matter how desperate I was, I could not know. I could not abandon my wife and my kids. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't leave them such a memory, such an example of such a failure, such a quitter, such a gutless soul. I just couldn't do it to them. I realized then that life's biggest message was that I had no choice except to face my problems and find a way to deal with them, even debilitating stuttering.
Basically, how do you get to the mental state to where you would legitimately consider taking your own life? She finds that hard to
Huh.
understand.
I'm so grateful that she finds it hard to understand because that tells me she's never going to have that problem. It's very difficult to say, but I would be astonished if given the ability to answer that question, everyone here anonymously, I would be astonished if over half didn't say they'd had suicidal thoughts. I would be astonished. So if she hasn't, if you haven't, whoever you personally, Clifton or anybody else who's listening, if you haven't had those thoughts, God bless you. I'm so happy for you. My talk is irrelevant to you today. My belief is that a great many people have had suicidal thoughts. What prompts them? Every negative you can think of. Thinking negatively about your physical appearance, about your abilities, about your financial situation, about your health, about family, relatives that you can't help, and uh, the negatives of life. You can't seem to improve it, and you're a failure, and life's a failure, and nobody seems to really love you, and on and on and on. I mean, it's the list is infinite. It's infinite. I'll let somebody else add to it if they will.
It's not about the, lack of something that causes the hopelessness, right? We have every single ability, starting from, mastering a subject, you name it. It's just that we are not able to voice that out. We have the stuff, but we are not able to voice that out. And that is more, hard to accept. And that causes a lot of stress, frustration, and I think that is the main cause to these suicidal thoughts. It would be okay if if we not have the, actual stuff, but the thing is we actually do, but we are not able to voice that out, right? Yeah.
Prathusha, there are many things in life that we can't solve permanently. We have to do the fight every day. For example, a simple one, the tendency to overeat and become enormously obese. That's a natural thing for a lot of people. And
Right.
they will think that even if they diet till they're ancient and they're skinny as a rail, they'll still have those thoughts. It's not a crime to have bad thoughts. It's a crime to let them run rampant in your mind and take control of you and dictate your actions. We're talking about mind control and mind training. We become what we think about. Our most dominant thought becomes our reality, becomes who we are. Our job is to dictate our thoughts. in the front of all my books, my most important words. And I read them in many, many sessions to people. I say, we have free choice to accept or reject thoughts. Nothing compels us to think anything except our own desires. So use your mental switch and dictate your thoughts. Believe that you can improve and you will. If you dictate your thoughts, you will improve, period. Now, it's not easy to do, and it's a continuing, it's like if I go to the gym and lift weights and build nice muscles and everything, and then I stop going, my muscles are going to go away. And it's the same thing about good thinking, about speech. Now, look, and stutterers have an extra reason more than the average person. They developed a problem. They allowed it to happen, and that's okay, and they can beat it. But that's their problem. So they need to be diligently monitoring the thoughts that come and go and planning proper thinking, especially about their speech. So there's no free pass, and you have to do it until when? Until you stop having those natural, instinctive fears of words. Stop thinking words. They're your friends. You love words. I love words, I promise you that. I love reading words aloud. I have a wonderful time. It's great. I love poetry, metered and rhyme. It's wonderful. I love reading to children. It's so much fun. Do it yourself. Read to your nieces and nephews or your children if you have them. It's a wonderful thing.
Coach Lee, wow, what an inspiring personal story, great points and great thoughts. Now, on the topic of suicide, I also came close to this topic once, and it was not related to speech. What happened that I lost my job, and I had my wife and two sons staying in Bay Area, California, where house prices are high, mortgages are high. I was at a very low point that how I could manage all this cost. And so I became very depressed. So I went to my doctor and he said, "Man, you are suffering from MDD." I said, "What is MDD?" He said, Major depressive disorder. I said, "Wow." So now I lost my job. I have MDD. Great. So then he gave me medicine and all. So, and the funny part about suicide is that you try to find the way to kill yourself, which hurts you less. You want to die, but you want to die with minimum pain. So I just search internet, how can I kill myself so that I get minimum pain? Internet told me, there is no guaranteed way that you can kill yourself successfully. I mean, just shoot yourself here, you can still live. You will be paralytic, you will be in coma, and you will be living. There is no guaranteed way that you tried and you will be successful. I said, "Oh, that's not good." That's definitely not good. I try and I fail and I am miserable rest of my life. No, no, that's not good. So then I told my wife that, I am going through suicidal thought. And I created support system. Good friend. My wife told my friends that please call him, please meet him. And music is my passion. I started to listen to my songs, old songs, which are so close to my heart. I started my network. I started to apply jobs through networks, and those worked. But I went through a period of 3, 4 months where I was really down. Thank you.
All throughout my suffering as a stutter, I thought about the quote, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, but never seeing the purpose of such a nonsensical issue like stuttering. But I always chose to realize that suffering can be a purposeful tool for personal and spiritual growth. And that pushed me to see silver linings much more often. And for example, everything that I have learned and seen at WSSA are pure examples of how something that caused each of us suffering can really be a blessing for us. Stuttering created all of the beautiful bonds shared here and opportunities to teach, uplift, and grow together. Long story short, I just urge everyone to maintain positive faith and end thoughts of suicide, and not to get religious or anything, but God always has a better plan for our lives than we do. Thank you.
All right, Pastor Morris, that was a good one. Good job. So, I wanted to touch on what Amaka said because I'm also a Nigerian. So Nigerians love life, no matter what the situation is. But I mean, stuttering for me has taken me to a very dark place, I would say, but it has taken me to a place of somewhat like a self-destructive place where I felt like, I mean, what's the point of having to go to all this school, having to go do all these certifications, having to go do all this, all for not being able to even express myself or my ideas to people. What's the point? Just, I was almost at the point where I just wanted to give up on everything and just say, you know what? I'm just gonna look for a job somewhere on that, maybe working overnight, just doing something that I wouldn't have to interact with anybody and just carry on living my life. So that's what I did for some years. Time goes by, and then I had a rethought again. I said, my mind, my body, my I couldn't do it. So I said, instead of doing that, let me just try to work as hard as possibly can, and then let my work speak for itself. So I became this people pleaser kind of guy. I go into a place, I try to outwork myself almost to death to try to please everybody. So I carried on. It was a very painful life to have to please people, to have to try to fit in, until I lived like that until I found this StopStutter site where I found the help that I needed. I found that's why I'm so grateful today, because I don't think I would have been able to sustain having to please people. Maybe at some point I would have given up, because we humans, we always want more. We keep taking and taking from people until there's nothing left. So I don't know how I would have sustained that. So, but I felt almost emotional when Coach Lee was talking about the story, because I've gotten to that point where I just wanted to just maybe just throw in the towel and say I'm done. But thank God for this application and this organization that I'm still here today, speaking confidently the way I'm speaking right now, because I don't know what I would have done at all. I don't.
In my humble opinion, if you stutter enough, it's natural to have suicidal thoughts. And I think most people here, if they've stuttered enough, have had them. So I think you and I are not the exception. I think we're the rule. And the question is, how do we handle it? And you're handling it well. And incidentally, your speech sounds great. So God bless you, and glad to have you with us.
Coach Lee, I just want to say that your message was very inspirational. And I think it is also very relatable. I know for myself, when my speech was at its lowest point, I used to drive down the highway and just kind of visualize a plane crashing down, or another car kind of ramming into mine. And I actually used to desire death. Like, that's how bad of a state I was in. And I absolutely had faith thanking God, and I love the Lord, but I was just so distraught and just and having to think that I would have to face this humiliation over and over and over for the rest of my life was just it was just very um sad for me. And I didn't feel like there was a way out, but I thought of my family and I said, come on, Raquel, you just gotta keep living your life like normal, and eventually you'll get better. Eventually. It might uh take a while, a long time maybe, but uh don't worry. And I just kind of kept uh pushing myself forward, and then eventually I found your program, and now I'm at a much better place with my speech. I definitely still have a lot of work to do, but I have improved quite significantly from how severe of a stutter I had. So, once again, I just wanted to thank you for sharing your story and for um, creating this program and seeing it through until this point. Um, I really appreciate it. And I know that many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people also are very grateful. So thank you for your time.
So, talking about the suicidal thoughts, I genuinely have attempted it in December 21st of 2025. I have attempted a suicide by drinking a liquid called phenyl. The decision was not only because of stuttering. Actually, what is the fact is, from my birth, I have a serious retinal issue, which is called night blindness. But apart from that, I cracked the top Indian examination, which is Joint Indian Examination of Engineering. I got into a college, but suddenly the condition of my eyes worsened, and I went to the doctor. He told me that if you continue the screen time and if you continue to give pressure on your eyes, you may lose your vision. That was the turning point of my educational career. And after that, I also had stuttering from my childhood. But after that, it got more. I could even ignore my night blindness thing. But apart from that, the stuttering was also hindering to get any job interviews or to talk to the people around. Then on 21st December 2025, I attempted it, and actually I got through a lot of research that some liquid will go you blind and a bit more will be death. I drank half of the bottle, but luckily in x-rays and all the reports, not even a hair like negative report was there. Then I thought, if the Almighty have saved me through this, He want me to do a greater job and He want me to stay. Then I found this Stop Stuttering app, this Stop Stuttering program, and all my questions and all my doubts are being slowly cleared. And
I want to say the most important thing that we teach is to override negative thoughts, whatever they are. And that's easy to say and extremely difficult to do. But you can do it. The amount of effort it takes for each of us will vary, especially depending upon what thought we're trying to change. But dictating our thoughts by thinking specifically what we want to think. An example is I love to speak under pressure. That's one example, but it could be other things. I won't drop fly balls when I'm playing center field, or I mean, it could be anything. And so repeat what we repeat becomes our dominant thought. I love to speak under pressure. I love to speak under pressure. I love to speak under pressure. The more I say it, the more it will become my dominant thought, and that will become my reality. And in time, I will love to speak under pressure. You get there with repetition and determination. You got to be disciplined. You got to be the boss of your mind. And I say that in my books. We got to do that. It's part of winning the game of life.
And Lee, once again, thank you so much for being vulnerable with us, and really not you, but everybody else that share their stories. And in terms of suicide, I never had suicide thoughts myself because I feel like when we leave this earth, it's on God's terms and not ours. But I would say that there were a couple times, especially after my failed attempt with speech therapy, where I would tell God, you know what, if you want to take me from this world right now, please do. Because when you can't talk, what is life? But thankfully, he did not listen to my request, and it led me to found your beautiful book, which I always tell people it is the Holy Bible to stopping stuttering. So, Lee, thank you for everything you've done for me as an individual, but more importantly, as a whole, for this beautiful community.
I never mention the word God because not everyone believes in a God. And so I want to address everyone, and that includes people who do believe in God and people who don't. I want my solutions to be based upon me. And if there is a God, then he expects us to do he or she or it expects us to do our best, not to be lazy bums and to accept stuttering or anything else that's negative. We must stand up on our own 2 feet and battle to be the best people we can be. Anyway, Rhea, back to you.
Okay, it's time to close our meeting. I hope that you enjoyed exchanging thoughts with ex-stutterers and those fast becoming ex-stutterers. I will now end with our motto. If you can say one word anywhere, anytime, you can say and love to say any word, anywhere, anytime. Until next Saturday, have a great weekend, everyone.
Unlock your voice with StopStutter.